Hey y'all, what's up? My name is DJ. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm going to talk about the books that I read in July. So July was kind of crazy. I feel like I wanted to read more books, but life be lifing, and I really didn't get a chance to read as many books as I wanted to. I'm upset about that, but I'm not upset about that because I did get to read, so... But during the month of July, I read 3.5 books. They were all different in their own perspectives, and let's talk about them. So the first book that I read in July was Washington Black. This book really just... So before I even get into the book, you guys are probably going to notice that I don't usually say the author's names, and that's because I'm terrible with names, and I just don't want to ruin anyone's life. I don't want to ruin anyone's name and say something wrong that shouldn't be said. This is your name. It's here. This is your book. You know who you are, and I hope that one day I take a name class and I can say every name the way I'm supposed to, but until then, this is your name. This book follows Washington Black, a young slave on a plantation in Barbados, and he's dealing with slavery. He's attached to this older slave named Big Kit, and she's kind of like his protection system. She looks after him, and they have this really close-knit relationship. So a lot of things change on the plantation, and one day the master's brother comes to the plantation, and he's totally different from anybody that Washington has ever experienced. He's a scientist, he's an explorer, he's an enthusiast, he builds things, he's traveled the world. So he's very fascinating to Washington, and Washington becomes very curious of who this man is. So one night they're having dinner and he sees Washington and he's just like, you know what, this young guy would be perfect as my assistant. He's the right size, he's the right build, and he's young enough to help me out and do what I need to do. So all of a sudden, Washington is the new assistant for this white man. They're doing experiments. The man is teaching him how to write, how to read. So something really unfortunate happens on the plantation, and the scientist, Christopher, he and Washington flee the island of Barbados in a hurry, and in this contraption that they have built that pretty much breaks down, and they end up on a ship. From that ship, they go on this crazy journey where they pretty much travel the world together and separately, and it gives us the experience of new worldness, discovery, exploration, but also abandonment, betrayal, hurt, not getting closure for certain things. A lot of times in this book, I was just like, what's Washington gonna do? Is he gonna keep traveling? Is he gonna keep on this road to find what he's really, really looking for? Or is he gonna settle down and figure out what life is like being a free man? I think my biggest takeaway from this book was that Washington, though he dealt with layers of anxiety, of nervousness, of PTSD, of just trauma from being a slave and on the run for most of his life, he did at some point find love. And I mean like true love. He found a woman that he was pretty much going to spend the rest of his life with. He found a family and friends, and it was just amazing to watch him go from the isolated, torturous life of being a slave in the Caribbean to exploring the world and becoming a scientist and a worldwide known illustrator and creating things, becoming an inventor. He just really, he bloomed, and no one could believe it because who gives a slave the opportunity to bloom? Definitely a 5-star book, absolutely amazing, a complete masterpiece. So the next book that I read in July was The Death of Vivek Ogee. This book here, listen, woo, was I not ready? Like, you see how the cover is all pretty, it's giving you all these colors, it's all intertwined, it's giving you mesh. I was absolutely done. Like, this book, this book ambushed me. It hogtied me and threw me down the steepest steps in the world. And when I got down there, I was drowned in a flood of what the... So I'll start off by saying, of course, we know that Vivek dies. He's dead. He's gone. He's not here anymore. Vivek is dead. But I will say that Vivek goes through some transitions in this story that makes this title a dual meaning. it gives it a dual meaning in the sense of not only does Vivek die in the physical, but also who Vivek was in the beginning of this book is definitely not who that person is at the end. So there's that. I'll start off by saying like what I hated about the book first, and then I'll go in about the things that I loved. I truly hated the incest in this book. And I say that because it was very romanticized. The intimacy of this relationship between family members was so beautiful that it really bothered me because I loved their love, and I just wish that they weren't family members. And I wish that the society that is built around these people, I wish that it was a society where they were free enough to express themselves with people who weren't family. Because, you know, sometimes you're in a place so isolated that the only person you can express yourself with is the only other person that is dealing with that issue. So it was just too much for me. Secondly, what bothered me in the story was the amount of fear that led most of the characters in this book. I feel as though the only person in the book that didn't live their life based on fear was Vivek. Vivek's parents were very fearful that Vivek would be seen as too feminine, too emotional, too flamboyant in their Nigerian town, so they really tried to protect him from expressing himself fully in fear of him being lynched or, you know, violently abused or kidnapped or any of those things that were going on at that time. These parents, it's a group of parents of Nigerian men and women who are not necessarily born in Nigeria, but they married into this country and culture, so they're very close-knit. And they pretty much have that same vibe for themselves and their families. Those people who are very conscious of what the community will say about them if they find something out, or the same for their kids. They're very strict on be this way, it should be this way, be this way, so that we're not seen as crazy and so no harm comes of it. And I truly believe that that is the wrong way to live your life. If you live in fear, you will never figure out who you really are, and you'll never figure out where society can actually go without being innovative and without breaking chains and without educating people on what really is, without the traditional mental conditions of structural oppression. I loved the writing of this book. I loved the author's style. The craziness of this book made me feel like, what the hell at every turn. But I believe that's what a book is supposed to do. The perspectives it's supposed to bring in different perspectives and different emotions so that a conversation can be had. I do feel that this type of topic should be talked about more often. There are so many young people who are dealing with identity and figuring out who they are while venturing in a world where other teenagers are finding out who they are and may not be as accepting of the differences of many other teens because of tradition and societal norms. So in this book, so many people failed Vivek because they didn't give it a chance to understand who Vivek was or what these transitions actually mean for a person. And no one ever thought empathy and other, and they were just in so much fear that they would rather hide Vivek. All the shit hits the fan. All the shit hits the fan. But we ain't gonna talk about that. Read the book. Let me know if you read the book. Leave some comments down there. Let me know how you felt, because I loved it, but I just wanted to fight every character in the book. It was too much. The next book that I read in July was The Black Veins. The Black Veins. I absolutely loved this book. Like, this book was amazing. So The Black Veins is a magical government, and it's the oldest magical government in this magical world. We are following Blythe. She is a young black teenage girl living with her family. I believe they're in Washington, D.C., and they run this magical cafe. So it's her mom, her dad, and her two twin sisters, and they're running this cafe. Life is good. Everybody's doing what they need to do. And one night, Blythe is asleep, and this voice comes to her, and it's like, get up, get out of bed, take a walk to the roof. When you get to the roof, walk off the roof. And Blythe loses all control of her limbs and her body, and she's walking to the roof, and she's like, oh my God, I'm like gonna die, what's going on? And there's clearly like this spell being cast on her. And right before she jumps off the roof, her father grabs her like, girl, what you doing out here? So her father saves her life, and they're just like, okay, now they're on alert, trying to figure out who's trying to kill Blythe. Let me just stop here and say that the name Blythe is probably the hardest name that I've ever had to say over and over again, or even in any situation. Like, why would you even, who would come up with Blythe? Like, why would you want me to do all those things with my mouth just to say a name? That's not even fair. It's not even fair. But anyway, so further down the line, Blythe, her family is kidnapped. The father, the mom, the twins. Some guy comes in there with all this wind magic, and he's blowing things around, destroys the whole cafe, and kidnaps her family. So we find out that Blythe is actually a special magician. She's 1 out of 7 guardians. They have special powers over specific things in the magic realm, and Blythe is like the most powerful guardian. However, unlike most young magicians, they get their powers when they hit puberty. Blythe is like 16, hasn't gotten her powers yet, and she's dealing with a lot. Like, she can't fight this man to get her family back. So Blythe finds the other 6 guardians, and they all kind of like hate each other as they meet, but they grow this bond of beautifulness. Like, it's so beautiful how close they become, and like through every trial that they face while they're on this journey to rescue Blythe's family, they all become very strong and a little bit more self-secure of who they are. And Blythe is like their strongest link, holding them together, and she like gives everyone all this advice and this love and support, and they turn around and give it back to her. I was just like, oh God. Oh Lord, this is so beautiful. This is so nice. I was just like, oh God. First thing I thought as I was reading this book, it has so much action. It has so much lesson to learn. It has so much magic and world building and craziness. I was like, yo, this book needs to be a show. I can see this being a show. It was a great start to a upcoming series. We got to be introduced to everyone. We learned who the Guardians are, what their powers are, what these different governments are. And pretty much the basis of the book is that the Black Veins, they're the oldest magic government system, and now they're about to go to war with the newest government system, the Trident Republic. Amazing. Absolutely loved it. I can't wait for the next book to come out. This was very, very, very good. So those are the 3 books. Those are the 3 books that I read in July. I really wanted to read more books. I didn't get to. That's a shame, but maybe I'll do better this month. Currently, my first book in August is Baccanal. 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 I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even know how to say this word when I first saw it. I was just like, Baccanal. So I Googled it, and I found out that this is a derivative of Bacchus, who is the god or deity over wine and festivals and orgies and sex and things like that. From Roman or Greek, somewhere over there, that's where this comes from. And Baccanal is a festival where people do a lot of drinking and a lot of frisky things. Very frisky things. But this book is actually not even about any of that. This book is actually about a carnival that is traveling through the American South during the 1930s, and that's like around the Great Depression era, and a lot of people are broke. They're dealing with a lot of literal depression, and this carnival is traveling around and pretty much like, you know, bringing a little happiness to each town that they can. So we first start off with this young lady named Eliza. She's this young Black woman who lives, I believe, in Louisiana, and she's been abandoned by her family. So she's working at a boarding home, doing odd jobs. She cleans up, she kind of takes care of things in this home, and that is her pay to stay. And one day we find out that Eliza has the ability to communicate with animals. Like through her mind, she can send an image to like a bear. And like she'll send the image of like the bear eating honey. And the bear will be like, oh, that's dope. And then like send her a message and be like, I'll send you a message of me eating you. How do you feel about that? We're communicating. Okay, so whatever. So Eliza can communicate with animals, and that kind of makes her dope. The carnival comes into town, and some way, somehow, the guys who are running the carnival, they see that Eliza has this power, and they're just like, let's add old girl to the show. So they bring Eliza on, and they're just like, let's show you around or whatever. So the catch to this book is that this beautiful woman on the front named Geneva, she's this beautiful black African priestess looking woman who has all these beautiful jewels and fashions. She's really the leader and master of this carnival, but of course it's the 1930s. Ain't nobody trying to see no black woman running no business. Everybody is just like white men running business only. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So her front to the business is having a redhead white man named Clay and his assistant or his partner, this black man. I don't remember his name right now, but those two are running the carnival, and Geneva is actually the owner of the carnival. And we come to find out that she's actually a demon. So Geneva's a demon, and she's actually eating the souls of children in all the towns that they are passing through. She's like putting on this beautiful facade, and she's like, come by and you can win a toy or candy or anything like that. She gets them in her trailer and she consumes these damn kids. Listen, I was just like, not the kids. Not the kids. So I'm literally only like 60 pages in, and I'm just like, whoa. You have this girl who can talk to animals. We have fortune tellers. There's men wrestling alligators. There all sorts of craziness, and then you have a whole demon. There's like voodoo and stuff. The demon is searching for Oya's daughter. And Oya, she's like a Orisha. So now we got Orishas going on. Okay. This is dope. This is crazy. So I'm just really excited to get into this book. The crazy thing is that before I even got this book, there were so many mixed reviews. So many people were just like, I hated this book. I hate it. The beginning was great, but then I just hated it. So I'm not even going to make this sound better than it is until I finish it, because I don't want to be one of those people that's just like, oh, I love it. And then people come back like, so how was that book? And I'm like, I hated it. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now with Baccanal. And I'll definitely try to do a mid-month touch base as I get through this book and my huge TBR mountain. I'll definitely come back and let you guys know how this book turned out. So those are the books that I've read between July and now. 4 books. I mean, 3.5 kinda. I'm trying here, like I'm really trying. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching my video. If you did enjoy this video and your time with moi, I would just ask that you hit the like button, hit the comments, say something nice or whatever, or tell me how you feel. You're allowed to feel however the hell you want to feel. Leave a comment and then subscribe, because I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna have some more things to say about other books. And I'm gonna mix some other things in there too, because my life is just not only about books. Like I'll be watching movies and shows and stuff, and I'll be having stuff to say about those things, and I should probably come on here and talk about them, because y'all probably want to hear what I got to say, because I'll be having a lot of things to say, and I guess I'm a little entertaining. Yeah. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.